Welcome, Bellumnoxis Prime listeners! Here we forge the Chronicles of War, some torn from history, others born as forged legends. Subscribe, join the Legion, and march with us, for the night of war has only begun. The cliffs rose like the bones of the earth, jagged and black against a sky thick with storm. Upon them stood Blackspire Fortress, its towers scarred by centuries, its walls carved into the stone itself. The fortress was no jewel of empire. It was a wound, a place built to endure suffering. Its banners did not wave proudly in the wind. They clung like torn shrouds, whispering in the thunder's breath. Beneath those walls, an army of kingdoms gathered. Men who had once fought each other now stood shoulder to shoulder. Shields painted in different colors lined the battlements, their edges scarred from 100 campaigns. Spears bristled like a forest of iron. The air smelled of oil, whetstone, and fear. Night crept faster than the sun could fall, thick clouds rolling in to swallow the last light. In the distance, the ground trembled with a sound not of thunder, but of marching boots. The Faceless were coming, a tide without voice, without chant, without banner. Their silence was a drumbeat heavier than thunder, a rhythm that drowned out the courage of men. From the highest tower, the war horns of Blackspire wailed. The sound rolled down the cliffs and echoed across the valley, like a cry for the gods themselves to hear. Torches were lit, arrows knocked, stones hauled to the battlements. The storm broke. Lightning ripped the heavens apart, revealing in its white glare the outlines of the enemy far across the plain, an ocean of shadows. And in their midst, dragged on wheels of iron, came something vast and terrible, a beast of wood and steel, with a mouth shaped like a hammer of the gods. The defenders stared in silence. Some whispered its name, the Obsidian Ram. The storm had come to Blackspire, and the night would not pass without blood. The storm did not howl alone. The valley below the cliffs filled with the endless ranks of the Faceless Legion. Their armor was battered, their helms cracked, their visors glowing faintly, as if fire smoldered within. They did not chant, they did not roar, they simply stood, and their silence crushed the hearts of men more than any war cry could. Upon the walls of Blackspire, the coalition commanders argued. Some urged to strike now, raining fire down upon the shadowed tide. Others whispered caution, for the ram loomed in the distance, vast and unmoving, like a mountain of blackened wood. Its head was shaped from a single slab of iron, jagged as if cut from the bones of the earth itself. Behind it, dozens of Faceless chained themselves to its wheels, their bodies bending, ready to drag it forward. The defenders prepared. Oil was heated in cauldrons until it hissed and spat. Archers strung bows until their fingers bled. Stones, heavier than men, were levered into place along the battlements. The air stank of tar, wet leather, and fear. Then the horns of the Faceless Legion sounded. Not like the cry of men, but a single low note of iron, as though the earth itself groaned. And with that sound, the Obsidian Ram lurched forward. The chains went taut, and the Faceless dragged. With each step, the ground shook. On the walls, archers released. A rain of arrows fell like black hail, their tips glinting in the stormlight. Many struck true, piercing armor, splitting joints. But the Faceless did not scream, did not falter. They fell silently, and others took their place. The ram moved closer. Its iron head gleamed with lightning. Droplets of rain streaking down its jagged face like tears of stone. The sound of its wheels grinding on the rocks echoed up the cliffs like the growl of some beast roused from ancient sleep. The defenders shouted to one another, voices lost in thunder and horn, shields slammed against stone, banners snapped in the storm. and all along the walls, men whispered a single question, though none dared voice it loud. Could Blackspire endure the ram? The storm roared, and the ram struck. The Obsidian Ram slammed against the walls of Blackspire with a sound like mountains splitting. Stone shuddered, dust rained down, and men staggered along the battlements as if the ground itself betrayed them. The iron head drew back, then surged forward again, tearing cracks through the fortress stone. With each blow, the sky flashed white, and thunder answered, as though the heavens themselves joined the assault. The defenders roared their defiance. Archers unleashed volleys of fire-tipped arrows, their flames streaking through the rain. Cauldrons tipped, and rivers of boiling oil cascaded onto the faceless ranks below. Bodies blackened, armor hissed, yet the Legion did not scream, did not falter. They marched into fire as if the flames were nothing more than shadows. Siege ladders slammed against the walls, their hooks catching stone. The defenders met them with steel. Blades clashed, shields splintered, men fell screaming into the dark. The Faceless climbed without fear, without pause, their cracked visors glowing as they rose over the battlements like shadows given flesh. At the eastern tower, the wall cracked open, a fracture splitting from base to battlement. Through the gap surged the first wave of Faceless, axes swinging, shields raised. Coalition soldiers braced, their spears thrusting like teeth of a beast, driving back the tide. For every Faceless that fell, another rose behind it, and the wall became a river of steel and blood. The Obsidian Ram struck again, and this time the fortress howled. Stone shattered. The great gate splintered, sending shards flying like arrows into the night. The defenders threw their weight against it, bracing beams, chaining iron bars. But the ram struck once more, and the gate burst open with the sound of thunder breaking the world. Into that breach poured the Faceless, shoulder to shoulder, silent as a grave. Their helms cracked, their armor scorched, their weapons rising as one. Behind them, lightning silhouetted the Obsidian commander, visor glowing red through the storm. Axe raised high. The defenders met them in the courtyard. Spears clashed, swords screamed, shields splintered. The storm and battle became one roar, drowning out even the cries of men. And as the Faceless tide surged through the ruins of the gate, it seemed as though the fortress of Blackspire, stone, steel, and flesh alike, might fall in that single breath. The gate was gone. What had once been iron and oak now lay in splinters across the blood-soaked stones. Through the wreckage, the Faceless marched, not in a rush, not with fury, but with the dreadful certainty of a tide that could never be turned. Their visors glowed faintly in the smoke, cracks glowing like the embers of a dying forge. The defenders fought as men possessed. They formed walls of shields, their voices raised in cries of defiance that echoed even through the storm. Fathers fought beside sons, kings beside outlaws, all united by the knowledge that there would be no retreat. Their swords rose and fell in desperation, every strike carrying the weight of kingdoms on the edge of extinction. The courtyard became a furnace. Arrows snapped, shields splintered, pikes shattered. The Faceless pressed forward with the patience of stone, their silence more terrifying than any roar. Blades pierced their armor, hammers crushed their helms, yet they fell without cry and rose without hesitation, as if the grave itself could not claim them. Above, the towers burned. Flames licked the black sky, and stones collapsed, crushing both friend and foe beneath their weight. Smoke choked the air, thick with the stench of blood and charred flesh. The defenders coughed, their eyes stung with ash, yet they fought on, blinded but unyielding. At the heart of the storm, the Obsidian commander strode through the breach. His helm was cracked, his armor blackened, but his presence was unbroken. The massive axe in his grip rose like a banner of doom, cleaving through men and steel alike. To meet him was to meet death, and yet the defenders did not turn away. They threw themselves upon him, blades flashing, spears thrusting, their courage brighter than the flames that consumed their home. One by one, they fell. Their cries echoed against the fortress walls before being swallowed by thunder. Still they fought, soldiers, peasants, commanders, each a spark of resistance in a storm designed to smother all light. The ram struck again, this time against the inner wall. Its iron head shattered stone that had stood for centuries. With each strike, the fortress groaned like a dying beast. The defenders rallied to hold the breach, but they were swept aside in the tide. At last, the great tower of Blackspire shuddered. Its stones, once proud, tumbled into the night, crashing into the courtyard with the sound of gods falling. The defenders beneath were buried, their voices silenced. The Faceless climbed over rubble and ruin, pressing deeper into the heart of the fortress. But even as the walls collapsed, a final stand was made. A circle of warriors, shields locked, spears braced, formed at the central keep. They knew the end had come, yet they chose to die with steel in their hands. Their captain raised his sword skyward. Its blade cracked, its edge dulled, but his voice thundered above the storm. We are the wall! We are the flame! Blackspire endures! The Faceless fell upon them. Steel shrieked, blood ran in rivers. The storm above seemed to pause, as if the heavens themselves bore witness. One by one, the circle broke until the captain alone remained, his blade sinking deep into the chest of the Obsidian commander. Sparks flew. The axe of the Faceless Titan fell, cleaving the captain in two. Silence followed. The circle was gone. The defenders were ash, and Blackspire Fortress, once the sentinel of kingdoms, lay broken. When dawn came, the valley was quiet. Smoke rose from the ruins, and crows circled above. The Faceless stood in ranks among the wreckage, their weapons lowered, their visors glowing faintly in the dim light. They did not cheer, they did not mourn, they simply endured. And so it was written, not in parchment, not in song, but in the blood-soaked stones of Blackspire. No fortress stands forever. Thus ends the siege of Blackspire Fortress. Warriors, subscribe and join the Legion of Bellumnoxis Prime. For battles rise each day, and the night of war has only begun.